What if I told you that while American soldiers are struggling to keep the lights on, Washington is preparing to spend $45 million on a parade? Not on housing, not on healthcare, on theater, tanks, jets, fireworks, all for a show of strength while the people who actually protect the nation can't afford a decent roof over their heads. That contradiction finally blew up when Representative Wesley Bell went head-to-head with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth in a hearing that left the room stunned. What unfolded wasn't politics. It was a reckoning that IT started quietly. Hegseth sat before the committee, polished, calm, repeating the familiar lines about patriotism and priorities.
I recognize as a gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Bell.
Mr. Secretary, unlike my colleague down the dais, I don't feel sorry for you. I visited with soldiers in war zones whose life is on the line, so a few tough questions. I think you'll be okay. And so my first question is, are you authorized to disclose intelligence that would put our troops in harm's way to our enemies?
Well, I reject the premise of the
Just saying,
question.
just as a hypothetical, are you authorized to do that?
I have not and do not.
Exactly, and I assume that. So when you told our ranking member that everything that you say is authorized, that wasn't completely accurate, correct?
What I said is that every way that I communicate is
No,
authorized.
you actually said everything that you said is authorized. I wrote it down. Now, with that said, and the reason I bring that up is because it's about accountability. And we're talking about this war ethos. The primary component of that is accountability. And I'm going to indulge me in a quick analogy. Republicans introduced a bill on the House floor a few days ago, a resolution standing against terror, racism, hate, anti-Semitism, which as an American, as a black man, I'm going to stand against those things 6 times a week, twice on Sunday. Now, the nefarious part was there was a line that was stuck at the end of that resolution that essentially gave a shout out to law enforcement, which I do support, but also to ICE, which right now, a lot of Americans have a problem with the way ICE is being deployed. And I'm not happy with what they're doing, nor do I want to shout them out for that. And so accountability was, I didn't duck from the question. I went and I talked to my constituents. I went on social media. I did interviews to explain exactly where I stood, that I stand against hate. I stand against racism. I stand against anti-Semitism. And I hate that that line was stuck in there. That's accountability. So when we're asking you these questions and you're ducking and you're not answering them directly, that's not a culture of a war. What was the term? A war ethos, a warrior ethos. I'm looking at members who serve, and they're taking their lead from you. That starts with you. And if we have troops who are in war zones and they're watching while they're risking their lives, and you can't just answer some tough questions, what kind of culture is that setting? So, as a prosecutor, when I think about what's happening in California and around the country with ICE, it's not only dangerous and unconstitutional, but it raises serious public safety concerns because we have people with masks that are going around saying that they're ICE, and we've had reports of that, saying that they're ICE and committing crimes. And that's a big problem. But it gets me back to the point of the accountability piece. So, for example, do you believe quality military housing is important? Yes or no? And just keep your mic on for time because I don't only have a minute left.
Our budget commits to robust military housing and barracks up.
Do you believe military children deserve a strong education?
Our budget funds strong education, and we hope more educational choices for military.
Love it. Is it a priority to provide real, reliable care to our veterans?
Of course.
So, Mr. Secretary, we have a problem here because your answers don't match your budget priorities. You said your mission is to restore this warrior ethos and that threats we face are serious, but so must our investments. So when we think of, for example, a $45 million parade, I can think of 45 million things we could do more effectively with $45 million than a parade, such as the things that I mentioned. Military housing, military children's education, providing reliable care for our veterans. All of these things would be higher on the priority than a parade. And so the parade, and when we talk about showing strength, we're not talking about theater. We're not talking about showmanship. We're talking about things that actually make our military more lethal and keeps us safer. And so what I'm saying is that in my limited time left is accountability does matter, and this body cares about what our military is doing, because we care about national security, and we all take it very seriously.
Gentleman's time has expired.
But Bell wasn't buying it. He leaned in and said, "Unlike my colleague, I don't feel sorry for you." The tone shifted instantly. Every camera in the room snapped toward him. What followed was not grandstanding. It was an unfiltered confrontation with power itself. Bell demanded straight answers about how a nation could afford vanity projects while troops lived in decay. He opened with a question meant to test honesty, not politics. "Mr. Secretary," he asked, "are you authorized to disclose intelligence that would endanger our troops?" Hegseth hesitated, tried to sidestep, tried to spin. But Bell pressed again, yes or no? When Hegseth finally muttered that he rejected the premise, the congressman didn't let go. "Accountability," Bell said, "is the heart of a warrior ethos. And if you can't answer directly, what message does that send to the soldiers who watch you?" That's when the real tension surfaced. Bell wasn't simply challenging a policy. He was exposing a culture of avoidance. The kind where words replace action and slogans replace service. "Our troops deserve truth," Bell said, "not talking points." And the room, for the first time, fell completely silent. Then came an analogy that no one expected. Bell described a recent resolution on the House floor condemning hate and anti-Semitism, something every member should have supported. But, he revealed, hidden deep in the text was a line quietly praising ICE, the agency under fire for unconstitutional actions and public mistrust. That clause, Bell said, turned a statement of unity into a political trick. And then he looked straight at Hegseth. This is what happens when moral language becomes a shield for bad policy. It was a direct hit. Hegseth's face tightened, and you could sense his discomfort. Bell's point was clear. Accountability means transparency, even when it's inconvenient. He explained how he had gone back to his constituents, admitted his position publicly, and explained why he refused to endorse a resolution tainted by manipulation. That, he said, is leadership. You don't duck tough questions, he told Hegseth. You face them head on. Because when the people risking their lives see you dodging, it erodes everything they believe in. And then came the number that broke the internet, $45 million. Bell locked eyes with Hegseth. You're planning to spend $45 million on a parade, he said, while families on bases are living with black mold, while veterans can't get timely care, while military kids study in classrooms falling apart. How does that make us safer? Hegseth repeated that the parade would boost morale and honor service. Bell cut him off. Morale doesn't come from marching bands, he said. It comes from knowing your country values you enough to fix your home before putting on a show. The exchange hit social media within minutes. Clips of Bell saying morale doesn't come from marching bands spread across platforms like wildfire. Bell kept going. Do you believe quality housing matters for our troops? He asked. Yes, Hegseth answered quickly. Do you believe their children deserve proper education? Of course. Do veterans deserve reliable health care? Absolutely. Then why doesn't your budget match your words? Each question was a hammer blow. Each answer exposed the gap between rhetoric and reality. Hegseth tried to defend the budget as balanced, but Bell dismantled that excuse in seconds. If we have $45 million for parades, he said, we can find $45 million to repair barracks, to hire doctors, to keep promises. The moment wasn't just about money, it was about meaning. Bell challenged the entire idea that patriotism equals spectacle. We've mistaken noise for strength, he said. We've turned pride into performance. Hegseth stayed composed. But his silence told a story of its own. Bell leaned in again. Real patriotism, he said, isn't loud, it's lived. It's in the budgets we pass, not the flags we wave. It's in the care we give to those who risk everything, not in how many jets we fly over a crowd. Every reporter in the room scribbled that line down, because it reframed the entire debate in one sentence. Bell wasn't attacking the military. He was defending its soul. He was demanding that America match its words with its actions, that he then turn the spotlight from Hegseth to the country itself. This isn't just your problem, Mr. Secretary, he said. It's all of ours. We love to shout about supporting the troops, but where is that energy when it's time to fund their care? The message hit home. The culture Bell was describing, a government more obsessed with optics than outcomes, wasn't unique to one department. It was everywhere. From Congress to corporate boardrooms, the same disease. Appearance over accountability. Hegseth tried one last defense. He said the parade would show the world America's power. Bell didn't even pause. Power isn't how loud you roar, he said. It's how you take care of your own. That moment went viral because it cut through every partisan wall. Soldiers shared it. Veterans applauded it. Even critics admitted it was a question that needed to be asked. How can a country claim to honor service while underfunding survival? Bell's voice softened near the end. He wasn't shouting anymore. He was reflecting. I've talked to families, he said. I've seen the mold in their homes. I've seen kids crying because their parents can't get medical help. I've seen veterans standing in line for food. And every one of them deserves better than a parade. His tone wasn't bitter, it was human. This isn't about left or right, he said. It's about right and wrong. And at that moment, the room realized it wasn't witnessing a political debate. It was witnessing conscience. Because real patriotism isn't measured in parades or flyovers. It's measured in the nights soldiers sleep without fear that their roof might collapse. It's in the hospitals that actually heal, not just salute. It's in the budgets that reflect gratitude, not ego. Bell looked directly at Hegseth one last time. A warrior ethos, he said, starts with truth. You can't restore it with fireworks. There was no applause, no shouting, just silence. The kind that follows truth when it finally lands. As the hearing adjourned, the takeaway was impossible to ignore. America has to decide what it values more, appearance or accountability, strength or sincerity. If the answer is parades over people, then the flag we wave means less every day. Outside the chamber, journalists surrounded Bell, asking if he thought he'd gone too far. He simply said, "You can't go too far telling the truth." And with that, he walked away. The clip dominated every platform. Comment sections filled with veterans describing their own experiences, military spouses echoing his frustration, and everyday Americans realizing how misplaced national pride can be when it's built on spectacle instead of substance. What Bell did wasn't political theater, it was moral clarity. He called out hypocrisy to its face and demanded change, not applause. And in an era where noise often drowns out meaning, that kind of courage is rare. So here's the question left hanging for everyone watching. What does patriotism mean to you? Is it the roar of a jet or the quiet dignity of a soldier finally getting the help they earned? Because every time we spend millions proving how strong we look instead of ensuring how strong we are, we move further from the values we claim to defend. If this moment reminded you of what accountability should look like, if you believe our soldiers deserve care before ceremony, then don't stay silent. Share this story. Talk about it. Make sure it's heard. Like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next time someone in power gets held to the truth. Because this isn't just politics. It's about the kind of nation we choose to be. And as long as people like Wesley Bell keep asking the hard questions, maybe, just maybe, that nation still has a chance to find its moral compass.